The Ladies Professional Golfers Association, LPGA, maintains statistics on performance and earnings for members of the LPGA Tour. Year-end performance statistics for 134 golfers for 2014 appear in the file that's available on the textbook website. We're going to analyze Y, scoring average, the average score for all events, X1, putting average, the average number of putts taken on greens hit in regulation, X2, greens in regulation, the percentage of times a player is able to hit the greens in regulation, and X3, drive accuracy, the percentage of times a tee shot comes to rest in the fairway. I've used Minitab to have a quick look at the data in a matrix plot, and we can see there's no strange outliers or odd looking points that might throw off the analysis. So I'll proceed with part A, develop an estimated regression equation that can be used to predict Y from X1. And if we use Minitab to do that, we get the equation Y hat equals 47.95 plus 0.806 X1. Part B, develop an estimated regression equation that can be used to predict Y from X1, X2 and X3. So again, using Minitab, and we obtain the equation Y hat equals 57.16 plus 1.0319 X1 minus 23.102 X2 minus 0.022 X3. And part C, at the 0.05 level of significance, test whether the two independent variables added in part B contribute significantly to the estimated regression equation developed in part A. So we're going to test the null hypothesis, beta 2 and beta 3 are both 0, against the alternative that beta 2 or beta 3 or both are not equal to 0. So we obtain the sum of squared errors for the reduced model, the one with just x1 in it. That comes to 166.95, whereas the sum of squared errors for the full model, that's the one with x1, x2 and x3 in it, that comes to 15.521. If we put those numbers together into the F statistic formula, along with the appropriate degrees of freedom, we get a value for the F statistic of 634.2. To find out if that allows us to reject the null hypothesis, we can find out the critical value for the F statistic. So that's the value for an F distribution with 2 numerator degrees of freedom, 130 denominator degrees of freedom, that would have 0.05 in the upper tail, and using Minitab to find that number, we find that it is 3.07. So since our F statistic is much larger than 3.07, our p-value must be much smaller than 0.05. Alternatively, we can use Minitab directly to obtain the p-value for us, and it tells us that the p-value is essentially 0. So again, much smaller than 0.05, so that allows us to reject the null hypothesis in favor of the alternative. So we conclude that the addition of predictors x2 and x3 is statistically significant in this case.